Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Scout Fantasy PGA DFS. My name is Alex White. Mark Ferris is actually under the weather, so for all of our normal listeners, it's just going to be me this week. So I'm going to break this down as quick as possible, try to keep it under 20 minutes, just so I don't have to hear my voice for longer than that. This week, after last week's match play, Kevin Kisner took home that title. We're heading to the Valero Texas Open. The course is TPC San Antonio. It's going to be 7,465 yards in length, par 72 with Bermuda greens. So with that being said, it ranks 12th out of 51 courses on the PGA Tour. One thing about this course, since it's playing, it's a different schedule than it was last year. It played 2 weeks after the Masters last year, and this year it plays 1 week prior. So they've actually changed the course up a little bit from previous years. So course history might not play as big of a role. I've heard that they have widened their fairways just a touch and shortened their rough to make it play a little bit more like the Masters, to get more people into the field to kind of prepare themselves for this Masters event next week. So once again, guys, this course is going to be pretty long. I mean, 7,400 is long, so you want to target golfers that hit it long and straight. I don't really need to give a breakdown. Let's just dive into the picks. That's what everybody's waiting to hear anyways. If you want more information, contact me or Mark Ferris on Slack chat through the Scout site. That's the best way to get our information. We'll answer all of them, so feel free to ask questions when they come to mind. Let's get started. All right, so let's get rolling here. We got Rickie Fowler, Matt Kuchar, Finau, Spieth, and Sungjae M. That's going to be our top five. Honestly, my favorite out of that entire group is probably going to be Tony Finau. He's just a bomber. And I mean, if they have widened the fairways, this course used to kind of play more for the mediocre hitter off the tee. But if it's true that they've widened the fairways, I like Finau's chance. He does have a T3 here in 2017. His approaches aren't as good as they used to be this season. I don't know really what's going on there. He hasn't really changed his swing or anything. He's just not making as solid of contact. So if he's super high owned, I'll pivot off him to Sungjae M, who's just playing lights out right now. And one thing to note this week is if some of these golfers aren't in the Masters field already, if they win, they can get into that field. So this is going to be a highly motivated field. And as I get down to some other golfers here, I'll kind of highlight the ones who I think are going to be a little bit more motivated to win this week and play well. All right, so I'm going to say Finau. I like Kuchar and Fowler. I'm going to fade Spieth again. I just don't think he's in the right, mindset. I don't know. I just don't think he can put 4 rounds together. He can definitely string together, 2, possibly 3 rounds, but that 4th round, I mean, he could shoot 8 over. And at that price, I'm just going to fade him until he proves me otherwise. He will be motivated, though. I think he decided to play this event this year to gear up for the Masters. So long story short, Sungjae M is probably my second favorite. I'm going to stay away from Spieth. I think Fowler's a little bit too expensive, and Kuchar just got done playing like 7 rounds throughout that match play, so he's got to be exhausted. And, with these upper price golfers, if they're not playing well early, they might just call it quits on Friday and say, hey, I need to get to the Masters anyways. So be cautious of that. Billy Horschel is my favorite play in the 9K range. Honestly, I'm hammering that 9K range. My 3 favorite plays in the entire slate are Horschel, Jim Furyk, and Lucas Glover. I do like Ryan Moore as well. He's worth mentioning. Those are my top 4 plays on probably the entire slate, and they're all in the 9K range. So if you can put 2, if not 3 together in the same lineup, that's kind of my recommendation. And on FanDuel, it's much easier. You can easily get all 3 of them, 3 out of those 4 golfers into your lineup and be pretty happy about it. So outside of that, let's see, as I scroll down, one moment, hold please. Lucas Beauregard, he played really well last week. I just 9K for a guy that really hasn't played this course before. We don't know that much about his game. He is a good golfer. He's a heck of a ball striker. We've seen it in match play. He played well a couple weeks ago at the Valspar, and I don't know. I'm not paying $9K for that guy. Like I said, I like too many guys in the $9K range anyways, so I'm going to glance over him. I've heard Answer be talked up a little bit too much this week. Nope. I'm just gonna stay with golfers that I'm confident in. No Johnny Vegas for me. Hao Tong Lee is worth a dart. I do like Yus Luton, though, quite a bit at the 8,500 range. I just think his ball striking is excellent. So 8,500. And then even right underneath him, Ryan Palmer, I think, is a great option. He missed the cut here last year, but he does have a T6, T4, T6 from 2015 to 2017. So he likes the course, and he's actually putting better than he did last year at this time. And he lost over 4 strokes on the greens last year at this course. So and he lost 4 strokes in 2 rounds. That's a lot. That's just piss poor golf. That's not how Ryan Palmer plays. So I'm gonna say if he can get that putter rolling, I think he's a great value at 8,400. And I think he might be a little bit under-owned. I do like Aaron Baddeley. He's an excellent putter. He does have course history here. I'm gonna fade Charley Hoffman. Denny McCarthy is kind of on this hot streak right now. I'm not super impressed with his game overall. I think he's a decent golfer, but I feel like this course played better to him when it was tighter. And if it's true that they really did widen the fairways, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for Denny to make an impact. This is going to bring a lot more golfers into the field this week. So if you're looking at course history alone, I really think that you should reconsider that and look at golfers that can drive the ball well. It's still going to be hard to hit the greens. This is the hardest course actually on tour for greens in regulation. I think they hit like 50% of the time. So you want golfers that are good at scrambling as well. So if they're putting good drives out there, they're going to have better options, and a better lie to put it on the green. But even then, they're smaller greens. So I'm looking for golfers that also play well around the greens. I'm going to fade JB Holmes. I'm going to glance over Lucas List, Russell Henley, but I do want to hop back on that Siwoo train. It doesn't have really great finishes here, but I just think it's a course that kind of fits him. And right before the Masters, I think he's motivated to win a big tournament again. I don't know if it'll be this year. I really don't, but I think that he has a good chance to top 15 at this tournament. At 7,900, you might find him at under 5% owned this week. That's a pretty good price for Siwoo, a golfer of his caliber on a course that really, plays better to accuracy around the green game. I think Siwoo has a pretty good chance to make an impact this week. Not in love, but I do like him. Let's see, anybody else? I'd like the Justin Harding at 7,700. I think he's just an excellent talent, and he rattled off. He did decent at match play, but he got put up against Rory, and that's just a tough group to get out of. So I'm not going to put anything against the guy. He played pretty well during match play, but before that, he had a second and a first place finish on the European Tour. So I mean, if he can win tournaments, number one, I don't care what tour you're on, you're a good golfer. And at 7,700 on a slate with kind of a scrub field, I'm going to take a chance on a guy like him. So I like Justin Harding quite a bit actually this week. So 7,700, I think that's a great price. Andrew Putnam's a good golfer. He's in kind of a slump, but he did take T8 here last year. He's a guy that plays really well on certain courses, so he might pick his swing back up right now. Starting this week, so I don't mind Andrew Putnam at 7,600. I'm gonna fade Joaquin Niemann. Burnt me bad last week at Corrales. It's not that he burned me. That's not why I'm off him. I just don't think he's as polarizing as he was last season. I think that kind of got to his head, all the attention he was getting, and I think he's kind of in like a Jordan Spieth funk. Obviously, he was never that good, but for as highly touted as he has been, if he comes in over 10%, I mean, I'm just going to let the field, chase those points. I'm not after him. I do really like Trey Mullinax, though, at 7,400, Bud Colley, JT Poston. Those are probably my 3 favorites at 7,400. I think that's a great range to find salary relief, especially if you're going to go up to that 9K range. I mean, Poston, he has, T30, T27, 2018, and 2017 at this course, and he's having a better season than he's ever had right now. He did miss the cut and disappoint last time out, but he had a week to take off. He was playing a lot of golf. I think that rest will do him well, and he might come back and just start firing at pins. He's just really good off the tees, consistent. He's top 10 in my good drive stat, which is a big stat I'm honing in on this week. Mullinax took second here last year. He's just a bomb and gouge type golfer. So if it's playing wider than it did even last season, I think Mullinax is a great call. And he might come lower owned. He kind of disappointed if people played that Corrales last week. He did all right, but definitely didn't pay off his high price tag. So hopefully people got a little bit burned by him and are afraid to go back. I will be firing up Mullinax probably in about 30% of my lineups. But I do like Bud Cauley. This is just kind of a course that plays well to his game, so he's worth mentioning as well. Dylan Fratelli at 7,300, Matt Jones, and Nick Taylor. I would say Nick Taylor is probably my favorite golfer in the low 7K range out of all the golfers down here. 7,200, but this guy is just absolutely lighting up flag sticks right now. His approaches are unbelievable. He could disappoint. He could not bring that crisp approach game this week because that's really what's keeping him alive. But I got faith that he keeps this hot streak alive. So Nick Taylor at 7,200 is definitely a good play. Matt Jones has shown decent course history here, and he's coming in with good form. If you were on Slack, I actually made a call on him at the Valspar before lock. I was really high on Matt Jones, and he ended up, I believe, he top 10. And then he comes out last week, and he was top 15. So he's in good form right now. I'm going to ride that. So I definitely like Matt Jones at 7,200 as well. And like I said, you're going to need this salary relief if you're going to pay up for that 9K range. So make sure I wouldn't go too balanced this week. I would try to go more stars and scrubs because there's just going to be a lot of differentiation between lineups, and you can gain a leverage with this low 7K range. So focus in on that. And I did mention Dylan Fratelli. I do like Dylan Fratelli at the first. 7K range. I'm just going to keep rolling, guys. Jonathan Byrd, he was cut in 2018, but he's rattled off. I don't think he has a missed cut this season, and he's top 40 pretty much every single tournament. And then last week, I think he took top 4 at the Corrales. So 6,900 for a guy that's just putting the ball in the fairway, putting the ball in the green, and then, not really bogeying any holes. He's just playing really consistent golf. I love Jonathan Byrd. He actually might be one of my cash locks this week. So Jonathan Byrd at 6,900, I think, is a great option. Also, Julian, at Tulane at 6,700 has rattled off back-to-back top 25s. He's worth mentioning. He's just a cut machine. He makes, a bunch of cuts in a row. He doesn't score a ton, but he's not a big bogey guy, and bogey avoidance is one of the big things I'm looking for at this tournament. So I do like Julian at Tulane at 6,700. I'm not going much lower than that. It's worth mentioning Vaughn Taylor again. He had T16 last year at this course. I don't think that he goes off by any means, but if you're looking for somebody to make the cut in this low range, I think that Vaughn Taylor is a pretty good option. Other than that, fellas, let's and ladies, Jeter's girl, I don't want to leave you out if you ever watch this. Let's see, anybody else I want to mention? Not really. I don't want to dive too deep. There might be some deep dives that play well, like Hank Lebioda at 6,400. He's been doing a pretty good job of making cuts. 6,300, Hudson Swafford. He's kind of interesting, but I'm really not 100% on board there. So I'm just going to stop really at Julian at Tulane at 6,700, and that's going to be where I pretty much cap. So look for my article. Look for I don't know if Mark's doing one. He's really under the weather, not doing too well at all. So like I said, ask questions on Slack, everybody. If you have any questions, hit us up at Coach White DFS on Twitter. Like I said, we're going to be on Slack all week. That's pretty much it. Let me make a lineup for you really quick. Let's do a little DraftKings lineup. Just kind of give you an idea since I went through that so quick. I'll take a little bit more time on these. As we're going through these cash lineups, I'm probably going to lock in a couple 9K golfers and move on from there. So just give me one moment as I pull this up. And as I'm doing this, I'll just fill the airtime and giving a shout out to all the MLB, writers right now. Steve's doing awesome. Chris doing awesome. Rob is doing amazing. So like all you guys just keep killing it. the content is amazing, and seeing all these screenshots is fun. So hopefully this week we can get back on track with PGA DFS. Couple down weeks, and apologize. It's just match play is tough, and then the week before that, it's just golf is golf. I'm not always going to be on, but I'm pretty confident this week in that 9K range. So I'm really going to hammer that. All right. So to start my cash lineups, I'm going to start with Billy Horschel. He's just playing good golf this season, and he's a Texas person as it is. So, with Billy Ho, I'm going to lock him in at his price is going to be 9,800. I'm going to drop directly down to Jim Furyk at 96. There's no reason not to play Furyk at 9,600 cash. He just has a resurgence of his career. He's not in the Masters field as well yet. So I think he's going to be highly motivated to get into that Masters field. Jim Furyk win would be pretty awesome to see. I love Lucas Glover, so I'm going to lock him in at 9,300. And as I go down, like I said, that Julian Etuilane, I think he's a great, salary relief at 6,700 and just making cuts left and right. So that leaves us 7,300 to play with. I had mentioned Nick Taylor earlier. I really like Nick Taylor. And then, so I have an option here. I'm at 7,400. I have Mullinax, Cauley, Poston, and Fratelli. Matt Jones too, if those are all the names that I mentioned in that range. You can interchange any of those golfers, but right now for cash, I have to play JT Poston. The guy has just won me too much money not to play him. So it's JT Poston, and then I'm just going to move on. So to recap that, I have Billy Horschel, I have Jim Furyk, I have Lucas Glover, Nick Taylor, Julian Etuilane, and JT Poston. So that's going to be the cash lineup. For the GPP, this is tough. So with GPP, I haven't heard Fowler's name besides anything negative said about him all week. So since he's the best golfer in the field, like clearly right now, I'm going to go Fowler and kind of put some low-end golfers outside of that. So I'm going to start with Fowler, and then I'm going to drop down to Ryan Palmer, as I said previously. I just think this is a good setup for him, and he's putting pretty decent right now. I'm going to go Dylan Fratelli and Matt Jones. So 7,300 and 7,200. All right. I'm going to go Jonathan Byrd as well. I just think he is an excellent option, and I don't know if he'll be super high owned. I feel like people just, don't really look at that name and want to play it. And then 8,500, I'm going to bump all the way up to Use Luton. So that lineup is Rickie Fowler, Use Luton, Ryan Palmer, Matt Jones, Jonathan Byrd, and Dylan Fratelli. And that's going to be my GPP lineup. So everybody, once again, catch us on Slack. That was short, sweet, to the point. Read my article. It'll be a little bit more in depth. But that's pretty much it. Let's get after it and win some money. See you later. Take it easy, everybody.